works. Let's see. So if you download it, please open After Effects and create a composition. 24 frame is fine, and press OK. And when you created the composition, I want you to import the video you just downloaded. Import the video to your After Effects. And import the video from your After Effects project folder to your composition. Import the video to After Effects and import the video from After Effects project to your composition. Now you should be able to see the video here when you play the press the play button. So one thing we want to practice today is if you right click on the video layer and go to time, enable time remapping. So I click on the layer, right click, time, enable time remapping. Click on that. When you click on that, by default it gives you two keyframes here. You can see them. The job of this time remapping is that you can manipulate the timing of your, and by result it would be the speed of your animation. So at first it has these two keyframes. If I grab the last keyframe and push it forward, you can see that it speeds up my movie. I can even push it more, and you can see that it speeds up my animation. If I create a keyframe somewhere here in the middle of my animation and grab that keyframe and move it, it speeds up this part of animation and slow down this part as well. Does that make sense? Can you all follow me? Is there any question? So time remapping is the tool that we define the keyframe on that, and we say now I have this keyframe on 2 seconds and 2 frames. Whatever happens here, let it happen in less than 1 second. So in this case, this part is happening faster and the rest is happening slower. If I don't want the rest happen slower and the rest, if I want the rest to be as usual, I have to grab these two keyframes and push them forward. So in this case, I have kept the timing between these two keyframes and made this part faster. Is there any question? Could you all follow me? Could you all follow me? Okay. Now, we learned that. We will talk about it later in our face animation. Now I want you to, before that, let's take a look at my face. I have this face, and this is what you are going to do for your following assignment. You have to have each layer separate. You have to have your head separate. The white part of the eye should be separate. The pupils should be separate. You have to have different shape for your mouth, and also you have to have different shape for your eyebrow for this assignment. I do not have eyebrow here, but the rule for eyebrow is the same as the rule for mouth here. And the different shape I have for mouth here, you can see that I have them on top of each other. I put them in one group, and I rename the layers here, and I rename the group here. So whenever you want to have different shape for one part of body, you have to put that in one folder, like the mouth here. Is that clear? So for example, if you want to have different shape for your eye, you have to have a folder for the eye, create different layers inside that, and in each layer draw that shape of eye, and they all have to be on top of each other. This is what we are going to deal with. So go to After Effects and import the head PSD. Again, just like always, when you want to import that, grab it, drag it, drop it. Import kind should be composition retain layer. And editable layer style. And press OK. Could you all import the head? Now if you double click on the composition of the head we just imported, you can see that the mouth that was a folder in Photoshop, it pops up as pre-comp here. So whenever you have a folder in Photoshop, when you import that, it pops up as a pre-comp here. And if I double click on that, you can see that I am seeing all the layers I created here. So for now, for a start, I want to start with the eye. When I have the pupil of the eye, I want to animate that. The thing is that when I want the character to look around with the eye, when I put the pupil of the eye, it cuts off the edge of the white part. I don't want to see this part that is out of the white part. I just want to see this part that is inside the white part. Does it make sense? So what should I do? When we have one layer that is as a mask of the other layer, we call it matte. But that's correct. So this white layer, this white triangle shape, would act like a mask for our circle. So we will see this circle just inside this triangle shape. So This would be um, the layer we are looking for as a matte. I click here to switch the mode. Now I am able to see the mattes. I grab the eye pupil. I think I have to do that. Yes. The issue here is that it's not an issue. Whenever you do that, automatically After Effects turns off the layer for you. You just have to pay attention to that and turn it on again. So when you make the matte for your pupil, After Effects turns this layer off. You just have to turn it on. From now on, whenever I move my eye pupil, it just shows inside the white part. I'm going to do that for the other eye. So I click on the eye pupil. I grab the pick whip tool, drag it and drop it. It turns off the layer for me. I just have to turn it on. And from now on, whenever I move and animate the eye, I just see that in the white part. Is that clear? So practice that. You just have to turn on the layer. Automatically, always when you do that, the After Effects turn it off, you have to just turn it on.
So what did it turn off? It's like
No, you didn't do that.
I blanked. I was like, thank you.
Okay. So now we learned about eye. We have to learn how to animate mouth. So if we go inside the mouth, let's say for the couple of first second, I want to see the first layer. So I have to go to the opacity, create a keyframe here 100, and for example at second 2 I want this to go away and I want layer 2 to pop up, so I would create a keyframe here as well, and I will go back and make the opacity for this layer 0 and for this one again 0. So now I have this the first layer. In 2 seconds I can see the second layer, but there are lots of issues here. First of all, we can see this transition between these two. We don't want this to happen. And also we do not have that much control. This is not easy for us to do that. So in order to fix this transition issue, one way you can do is you can let it be 100, let the opacity be 100 until one frame before this, and in just one frame let this transition happen. It would be the same for the second shape, so let it be 0 until one frame before that keyframe, and after that let it happen. So it would be something like that. This is one way, but there is a better way we can do that in After Effects. So the thing is, before I do that, if I go to motion graph, you can see that this linear line, it shows us the After Effects is doing the keyframing in motion twin way. So it means that we create two keyframes and it creates the in-between for us. We don't want it to happen. We want, for this purpose, for just this specific example, we want for example, the whole 2 seconds to be 100 opacity and suddenly it drops. We want the change happen suddenly. In order to get that, let's get rid of the second keyframes. Select the first keyframe, right click on that, and click on toggle hold keyframe. You can see that the shape of the keyframe has changed. Now if I go to second 2 and I make the opacity 0, if I go back to graph editor, you can see that this change happens suddenly. This is the way of change we want to happen for this specific animation. We do not want that motion twin type of transition happen here. We want the opacity to be 100 during the whole time, and at that specific moment we want the opacity to drop down to 0. Does that make sense? So we would do the same thing for other keyframes and also for this one. So we would change them to toggle frame and make it 100. And probably somewhere here I want these two to be 0 and these to be 100. So this is one of the simplest way, the very first way we can do drawing replacement. So inside the composition of mouth, as we said, mouth is pre-comp here. So inside the composition of mouth, from second 0 to second 2, we have our first shape. From second 2 to second 3, to second 4, sorry, we have our second shape, and after that we have our third shape. Let's go back to our head composition. You can see that it is exactly the same here. From second 0 to 2 is my first shape, from 2 to 4 is my second shape, and after that I can see my third shape. Now I want to have more control over which shape I want to choose for my mouth. Up to this point, is there any question?
I have a lot of questions.
What's the question?
Can you redo everything you just said?
For this part, I don't want you to follow me because we are going to use another way.
Okay.
I want you to know why this way is not a good way. So did you understand the process so far?
No.
So I'm going to redo that.
Okay.
So I get rid of all of that. I have these 3 layers, and they are all on top of each other. Let's say from second 0 to 2, I want to see first shape that is like O. From 2 to 4, I want to see the smile shape for mouth, and from after second 4, I want to see the sad mouth. So the first solution, the first way that comes to our mind if we want to do that is turn the opacity 100 for this one and 0 for this one. And in second 2, turn the opacity 0 for this one and 100 for this one, because we want to see this from second 2. And after second 4, turn the opacity 0 for our happy mouth, and turn the opacity up for sad mouth. Does that make sense? Let's make it 0 here. The thing is that when we do that, you can see that everything, first of all, everything is happening through transition. This is the first issue. If I go to graph editor, you can see that because of the nature of the After Effects, it creates the keyframe and the in-between motion twins. It means that we give it our first and last keyframe, and it creates the in-between for us. Most of the time, that works, but specifically for this type of animation, it doesn't work for us. How can we solve that? The first solution that comes to our mind is go to one frame before our keyframe, keep it 100, and let this transition happen just in one frame. For the second one, make it 0, and let this transition just happen in one frame. So if I play that, you can see that this is what happens. Let's not see this. But we have a better solution for that. Instead of doing that, I get rid of all these keyframes. I select these keyframes, right click, toggle hold keyframe. When you choose toggle hold, when you create any keyframe after that, from now on that keyframe, the type of that keyframe would be toggle hold. And let me show you the graph editor for this one. This toggle hold type of keyframe does exactly what we want. It keeps the value straight until that moment, and suddenly the change happens. We do not want this linear line here anymore. In order to avoid that, we change our keyframe to toggle mode. So from now on, whenever I do anything, whenever I create any keyframe, the type would be toggle hold, which means that the value of my keyframe stays there until that frame, and suddenly it changes. Now, if I play that, hold on, I have to put it here. Yeah. You can see that it just happens there. If I make it 100 here, this would be the result. So I do not have that linear transition between them anymore. Does that make sense? So this is the how we use toggle mode. Is there any other question? Okay. And it would be the same here. When I go to head, you can see that from second 1 to 2 is my first shape, from 2 to 4 is my second shape, and after that is my sad shape for mouth. We want to have more control over that. Definitely by adding keyframe here, I can add different shapes here, but this is not what we want. We want to have more control inside our head composition. So I just added different keyframes there. And you can see that I can see the result here, but that way is not a good way. And I need your attention here because this part is a bit more complicated. So select all keyframes. That's why I said I do not want you to follow me. I just want you to understand what's happening. This is the way we would do that. Get rid of all the keyframes. Select all of your layers. Make the duration of each layer just 1 frame. And when you are done, let me know. Jaden? Harley? Mackenzie? Okay. Sa? So now you have the duration of each frame, each layer just 1 frame. Now I want you to put them in sequence. We call this process sequencing. Let me sequence in this order. So your frame 0, you can see that your frame 0 is representing your layer 1. Your frame 1 is representing layer 2. And frame 2 is representing layer 3. Does that make sense? Now I also want you to go to the last frame, go to the end of last frame and press N. We also have to decrease the duration of this pre-comp. We want the duration of this pre-comp to be just 3 frames. Any questions so far? Now if I go back to head, you can see that if I zoom in here, you can see that why I don't see here? Oh, okay. T opacity. If you have the opacity down to 0, put it back on 100.
That's what I was confused.
Yeah. So when you are in frame 0, you should see the first shape. When you are in frame 1, you should see the second shape. When you are in frame 2, you should see the third shape, and after that you shouldn't see anything. Does that make sense? So for this part, in order to be able to control what we see here, what we need is time remapping. So right click, time, enable time remapping. Do you remember for time remapping, we could select the frames and manipulate them? So enable time remapping on mouth. Get rid of the last keyframe. Select the first keyframe. Right click on that. Toggle hold keyframe. Because we don't want we don't want the transition to happen gradually. We want the transition between frames happen suddenly. So now, from now on, I am animating my time remapping. If I, for the first frame, you can see that I have created a keyframe here, and from now on it is showing frame 0 to me until I change that. So if I go to second 2 and I make it 2, for example, it goes inside mouth composition, go to frame 2 and show the shape that is representing in frame 2. So after here, I should see the sad face. Does that make sense? If I go to second 3 and I type, for the frame part, I type 0 again, it gets back to the first shape. Does that make sense? Do you want me to go over that one more time? Is it obvious what is happening here? So if I go to second, I don't know, 3.5 and type 1 here, it goes to the composition of mouth, go to frame 1, see that, show it here. This is how drawing replacement works. So you would draw different shapes for mouth. Each shape would represent a feeling, each shape would represent a vowel, a sound, a letter, and when you put them in sequence, you can see the characters talking. And this is what we are going to do for this assignment. We have 10 more